Welcome to the August 10th, 2017 episode of Reactive Consciousness, our in-depth podcast about what happened to us this week in our lives. I'm your host, VyseTheBold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
PyroJackFrost.
And OldManStompy.
Oh,
Whoa.
man, it's crowded in here.
More like old man.
Stompy.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this might actually mark the very first week of Corrective and Reactive where we did not have the same exact people on both.
Yes. Also, I think it's the first time that the four quote-unquote main members are on.
Yeah,
and because of that, actually, I gotta go. Bye, everyone.
On Reactive, yes. On Reactive, yes. I think we've done a few Corrective episodes with this group.
Well, I think we did like our special MagFest.
That's true.
Oh, that's true.
Literally everybody almost who'd ever appeared on the podcast.
Yeah, everybody except for Stephanie, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Dan Carew, maybe. Or Dan Allen. So anyway, the reason why everybody's on this week is we got together again for another barbecue.
It's like all we do is barbecues.
It's definitely been summer lately. So this time, this was in my neck of the woods down here in South Jersey, and
actually in the woods.
Yeah, actually in the woods. In a particular
The
neck.
bug-infested woods.
Yeah. So the barbecue that I had is one that I throw every single year with two friends of mine named Pete and Amy. We have this thing called we call the APA barbecue, and every single year since the summer after college or after high school ended, we have made this a way of keeping in touch with our high school friends and then keeping in touch with college friends and reintroducing people to new friends of ours that everybody brings their own friends to it, which is great. Amy and Pete have their friends and my friends, and we all bring everybody there, and people from work have come there, so it's just one really cool reunion. It's just a way of keeping in touch with your friends and people that you've met over the years. And I have a blast doing it. I've been doing it for like 10 years now. Maybe over that. I think 11 years now. And it's been a really good time. I really enjoyed it. And this time I think I think this is the first time OldManStompy's been to it, right?
Yeah, I get invited every year, in spite of all the nasty things I say to you all the time on the podcast.
He's trying to break bread with you, but you'd have none of it.
But I did come. For several years, of course, I was over in Europe, doing physics, and last year I was out in Chicago, and I was just never available just to visit. This is the first time I actually got to go. Of course, it also mattered a lot, as I discussed in a previous podcast, that I'm driving when I wasn't before, so I didn't need a ride from Lotus or Mr. Ryu or anybody else who usually goes to these things. So that was nice. Of course, it was also my wife's first time going. Of course, she's also been friends with Vyse for almost as long as I have.
Sure.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun. I understand why you have these things. I kind of have the same thing with my old college friends. We usually get together around the winter break. Instead of having a barbecue, we just have drinks at somebody's house.
Sure.
This is the same spirit.
Yeah, I just really love doing it. I am usually the grill master. In fact, I am always the grill master for it. So it's something that I take particular pride in because I make my hamburgers, and I get to mix the meat and grill for everybody. And
you got to mix the meat for most of the years.
Oh, yeah. I forgot the Gay Hands Meat Lord.
Long story.
Yeah, but that was Pyro's nickname for a brilliant summer.
And now for the rest of time.
Yeah. We always need a Meat Lord.
Yes.
Sure. And his gay hands.
But yeah, you always make your burgers. You always have your special recipe, quote unquote.
Yeah. Well, I can let everybody know. I mean, it's not exactly a secret.
No, don't tell anyone. Sell it. All right, everyone, pause now unless you pay us $2.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah.
My burgers have salt, pepper, garlic powder, chopped up minced onion, and Worcestershire sauce. So,
isn't chopped up minced onion kind of like two of the almost same thing?
Well, first
isn't it minced or chopped?
No, it's minced chopped onion.
Okay.
I chop it and then I mince it.
Okay.
Okay.
You sure you don't mince it then chop it?
Let's not mince words about this.
Hey.
Let's not chop then mince words.
Respect the grill master.
Yeah, and then everyone brings like beverages and snacks, and there's board games there. I find it actually interesting. This was the first barbecue of these that I've been to, and I've been going. I mean, I've skipped every now and then, but I've been going for quite some time.
I go pretty frequently, yeah.
And this is probably the first barbecue that I went to of these that I haven't played any board games. I think it's just because of how late I arrived and stuff like that.
Yeah, we usually have a lot of activities. Like, we usually have volleyball going, but that didn't happen this year, oddly enough. People went on walks, though, because I hold it in the park that's near my hometown. It's not even where I live anymore.
I went for a walk. One of your other friends mentioned to me that he found Narnia, and I was trying to find Narnia, but I guess my heart's not as pure as his, so I could not find it.
What is it? Just like a random lamppost or something like that?
No, actually, he said that he crossed a bridge or crossed a plank of some sort, and there was this strangely creepy neighborhood that was just like quiet. And you'll have to ask him. It was Josh. You'll have to ask him about it because he didn't tell me anything more than that.
That kind of makes it better.
That's funny. I believe that from Josh. But, yeah, so I had everybody over, and this is just a really great time. Lotus has come for a very long time to these. I don't think you've missed a year in a long while.
I'm not sure I have missed a year, but I mean, obviously I came in late because I'm not, one of your high school friends. I met you in college.
Yeah, kind of one of the beauty.
And he time locks it by when he's met you. So
yeah,
you can only come at 11 if he's known you since high school, and then you.
But yeah, I mean, Luminaire also showed up. Mr. Ryu unfortunately couldn't make it, but we had plenty of people. Minty Mints was there as well. And we just had a really good time. One of the things that I enjoy about it is that it is a day-long thing. It runs from like noon until sundown, and then I usually have like some sort of after party. Sundown until is how long we're in the park, and so. Basically, that gives enough time for anybody to join in, even if they have work or whatever.
And I think it's cool because, I had to come late because of something I was doing earlier in the day. I mean, I wish I could have gotten there earlier, but I think it's cool because for at least you, the three hosts, your friends kind of come in cycles throughout the day, and it gives people a lot of time to go. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting there at 11 when it started and staying there for the 9 hours that it goes on, but it's like nice that it's for so long because it gives people the chance. Like if they have work in the morning, they can come in the afternoon. If they have
not only that,
to get dinner with someone at night, then they can come in the morning.
No, the availability is great, but what also makes it cool that, and this isn't arranged, people just happen to come in cycles like you said, but what also makes that great is that it's not like everybody comes at 11 and then the rest of the day is the party slowly dwindling and dwindling.
Oh yeah,
like it gets new life every few hours.
Yeah. Nobody really gets bored during it, which I've never really had that complaint. We kind of like shift as more and more people come to it. Like people come with different activities.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted to bring up, you mentioned board games. Board games have always been a fixture of it, and things like bocce ball, like outdoor games, have always been a fixture of it. Juggling and stuff and like Chinese yo-yo have been popular. We even had a tightrope this year.
Pete is sick with that Chinese yo-yo too.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah, he used to be part of a Chinese yo-yo club back in college. So that harkens back to it. They had like multiple performances where they did that in an Asian American club. And somebody brought Jenga, but they brought like an RPG.
Did they actually get a chance to play that? I just saw them playing Jenga. So
I think they played through one campaign or tried to, but then they kind of dropped it and kind of just went into Jenga.
Yeah,
I think you have to have the right audience for that, and it just wasn't the right audience for.
But yeah, the whole idea,
the right
D&D campaign.
The idea that I've heard is basically it's like D&D in a sense that you create characters, and the DM kind of goes through a story, but at like critical moments, your character has to make a choice. Let's say, and they make that choice by removing a Jenga piece and putting it on the top. And if you get it on the top and it doesn't fall over, you survived. And if the tower falls over, then your character dies. So it's the basic idea of how it works.
Yeah, like I'd only heard of the Jenga RPG getting started, but yeah, like you guys, when I actually looked over, saw them playing regular Jenga. But I think the game that was being consistently played for several hours, like I played it twice, but it just kept going after that, was Blockus. Like that's the only time of the year I ever actually played
that.
Blockus.
And Telestrations were going on for a while.
Oh, that's right. I love Telestrations too.
Yeah, so Telestrations and Blockus are probably the two fixtures of that have been at every APA barbecue since like they got introduced to it. They're a constant hit. We even had like 3 Blockus sports going at one time.
Oh wow!
Probably 3 or 4 years ago. So those games are great. Blockus is one of those games that I love because it not only is there a lot of strategy to it, but like it's the concept is graspable to basically anybody, and it's colorful and easy to figure out, and it's kinetic. So it's not a really complicated game in terms of figuring out what to do. So I've always liked having that game because you can introduce anybody into the concept of it.
I can say that Lotus Prince is an intense Blockus player.
Yeah,
it was pretty fun. I'm okay at it, but I actually happened to win both times I played last time. But at the same time, I think like I was playing. At first, I played a 2-player Blockus game, and like technically I won that, but I think we fudged it because with the 2-player Blockus, each player controls 2 colors, and I think we slipped up which color was supposed to go on which turn or whatever. So the game was played a little bit out of order, but it was kind of like, whatever. We still took turns on a basic level. With the 4-player game, at least 2 of the players, possibly everyone but me, was playing for the first time. So
it's just a suggestion to like future and potential Lotus Prince Patreon backers to challenge him at a game of Blockus.
Yeah, great.
And whatever you do not put a foreign object on the board.
You're interfering with our gameplay experience. You're breaking our zen.
So, I have to say this because it's incredibly infantile of me, but it still was fun. So when Retro Gamer was visiting, we went to a section of Philly called South Street, where they have a bunch of funky shops. They're well known for being offbeat, and one of them is called Condom Kingdom. And
I said this at the time, but they really should have called it Condominium.
And it is a sex shop, but not a gross one. You go in there and it's like it's well lit and it's cartoony, like there are like sperm and like cartoony sperm all over the place.
It's just not seedy. Is what you're trying to say.
No. It's definitely like the kind of place that's fun to go to. Like it's just and there's like a lot of novelty stuff, but it's also fun for couples to go to. It's not like a gross place. We went there, and a while ago at a MagFest, Lotus had won some chocolate penises.
It was a raffle, yeah. And it's like, what's the prize? And it was like, yeah, erotic candy. It was like chocolate dicks. And by the way, the chocolate was really mediocre.
I asked him, I was like, can I have one? He's like, I ate them all up.
And they weren't even that good. So it's like, what was my motivation?
But you finished them anyway.
Yep.
So
gobbled up those dicks.
A whole bag of dicks.
Yeah, literally.
So when I went into Condom Kingdom and I saw a box of gummy penises, I was like, I'm getting this for Lotus. It's the best $6 I spent in a long time. So I bought them and I gave them to him, and the lemon ones look exactly like the yellow. Like the shade of yellow for the yellow pieces of Blockus. So I put one of them like on the board like it belonged, and it looked like it belonged there. It was really funny.
And Lotus was like, "This is clearly an illegal play."
Yeah. Well, no, he was getting slightly perturbed, and everybody else was laughing. So yeah, this is the way my mind works. So anyway, everybody ate them all up.
As a corollary to that, like when we play Telestrations, not that so especially for those of you who have watched like Lotus Prince's videos, you know that he doesn't shy away from adult content at all.
No,
but for whatever reason, when we play like Telestrations and stuff, and someone like draws a penis or like says the word penis, he will just like ignore it and like, power through as though it didn't even exist. So like,
but like the thing is
Vyse
though,
to
it's
put like a penis on the Blockus board and like Lotus trying his hardest to pretend like it isn't there is like, incredibly funny to me.
Well, no, but the thing was though, even with Telestrations, it's like, it's because I'm like really, I mean, interesting choice of words, but I'm really anal about like the way I know the game is. It's like the way I know the game is played. But like, unless you have a custom card, I know that there is no way that any of the cards say penis on them. So whatever you're doing, you're clearly like just interfering with the game at that point. So I'm like, can we get a real clue, please? And that's how I was with Blockus. I'm like, this wasn't one of the Tetris pieces.
It fit right in.
Yeah.
It was a dick move. Anyway.
Yeah. I think you said that at the time. That was actually, I really like that.
But anyway, I really enjoy throwing this every year, and I'll continue to do it for a long time, I hope. And afterwards, we Lotus left because he had things to do, but we ended up having an after party at my place, and
yeah, I missed
woo! After party.
Perry actually gave me a birthday present because he hadn't seen me in a while, and he gave me a really nice whiskey I'd never heard of called Ardbeg.
Whiskey,
and it was very good. I enjoy it. I have a lot of different whiskeys in my collection, and it is especially peaty, and I like peaty tasting scotches, so I was very happy to have received it. And I also got a chance while there to show off and show off the setup that I have.
Mm-hmm. Pretty nice. I actually really did like, because they talk about it a lot. But when I saw it and saw like each console lined up on the two shelves, I'm like, this is pretty nice. And they all have a game in it. Like whether or not you play all of them, they all have a game in it. So if someone wanted to just play something, you'd be like, all right, it's on, go play.
Turn it on right now.
Yeah. And you guys have seen it evolve over time, because like it took me a long time to get it the way it is, because it was a lot of work. Setting things up like this is not very easy, because it's complicated, and to have everything work when you want it to, and all that stuff, and have it look good and sound good. It took a long time, and when you have real life in it gets in the way. Sometimes you don't get to it. So I think this was one of the first times where, everything was functional. And also, like, I had started decorating. Like, I started putting games in all the systems. And I also put random amiibos around, especially, like, I have the couple that I'm really a big fan of right now. I have my Mega Yarn Yoshi and my Cloud and Bayonetta ones that had just come out. So... and I also have like Kirby stuffed animals that I got from round one. So it's really cool to show people those things, especially people that like appreciate that kind of thing. So
yeah, Pyro, this is your first time at Vyse's house since it got all set up?
Since he got the whole setup going, yeah.
Yeah, because the first time he had come, I basically just had the switch up.
Yeah, you basically, it's like you just moved in, basically.
Yeah. So it wasn't where it needed to be, and it was kind of I had a bunch of staging areas, where I was unpacking things. So that was good. So we got to do. I got to serve people drinks and make people drinks and do cheese plates, and we even did alcoholic watermelon. It was a lot of fun, and you guys played Jackbox, and I got in on it after I was done, cleaning up and everything. And I really liked Jackbox. That was really the first time I played it. I
really?
The first one.
You've owned it and you just never played it? Got a chance to play it?
Well, think about it this way: if I'm not playing it with you guys, who am I playing with?
Yourself.
He wins every time.
I can't jack by myself.
Ha 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 ha.
But you did it block us.
But I had a blast. I was dying at some of the stuff you guys were coming up with. You guys are like the perfect people to do Jackbox with, because your sense of humor is my favorite sense of humor, and it always has been. And
so like on top of that, we had our friend Perry, who we've referred to like many times in this podcast, but has yet to be on it. And he is like a creative genius. Like, I'm always amazed at what kind of like improv comedy he can come up with. Like for some setup,
absolutely.
He's made like hundreds of custom Cards Against Humanity cards for us to play.
Yeah,
which is sort of in the same vein of humor as Jackbox. And so to have me here playing Jackbox like that actually added a lot to the.
I would love to play Jackbox with Perry. That sounds like a lot of fun. We got to do that at MagFest.
We had a blast. I mean, he made us laugh with the dumbest things. Like, we had this running gag that was just ham, tomato, egg. It just kept popping up, and variations of ham, tomato, egg, and then things you would find at a vampire's place: ham, tomato, blood. Like, it was just really funny.
It's great.
It's just like, what is this, and why is it funny? But it kept going, and it was funny. And Pyro had wee wheelies, which made me giggle. Like,
it was what is something a French person would put on their car?
And Perry came up with something that you wouldn't name a restaurant or an Italian restaurant, and it was Nita Nini, like panini. Nita Nini.
Kneading Ninis.
Kneading Ninis.
just like saying it makes me mad, but like thinking about it makes me laugh, and that's really hard to do.
Yeah, it's just like, it's so infantile, like wordplay and words and the way things sound is just like my favorite sense of humor.
My wife interjects to remind me that was her entry.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Great. No, it was fantastic.
My personal favorite was what's a bad name for a boat? The SS blank. Perry chose the SS Snake. Like several S's.
It's so dumb.
SS Snake. So good. I was dying. I hadn't laughed that hard since we watched The Human Tornado all that long ago.
That was something else.
I was laughing until I was sick. I was really tired, just because I had been hosting all day. And
I think we were all tired. So some of this humor was just like tired humor.
There was a point near the end of it. So as I recall, like, you brought the watermelon to the barbecue, but you didn't chop it up because you guys didn't like have the tools or whatever.
Sure.
And like then we brought like cut up watermelon. You brought the watermelon back to your place, and so like all night you just kept serving us like a plate of watermelon, and it was sort of reaching like purgatory levels. Like, we were just sitting there. It felt like we were playing Jackbox forever, and like every hour there was like another plate of watermelon, and another plate of cheese. Like, it was really good, but like it was the same.
The same watermelon.
it was delicious, but I had this feeling like oh my god, it's 2:00 in the morning. Like I can't remember what plate of watermelon this is. I can't remember how many plates of cheese I've had. It's like Totino's pizza rolls.
You wouldn't have turned down Totino's. Nobody would have. But it was just one of those things. It's just like I have to keep entertaining. Oh god, I can't stop or else I'll fall asleep. It was just like one of those things.
Exactly. Like I was laughing so hard at some of the Jackbox stuff that like I felt like I was going to pass out on the couch, and I still have to drive like 45 minutes back to my house.
But I had an absolute blast, and I say this all the time, but I wish I could have you guys over even more than I do. I mean, we do pretty good for people that live as far away from each other as we do, because I think our affection for each other is and willingness to travel for each other has always endured. But I'm really happy with the fact that we get together as much as we do. And I just wish we could do it like every day, like back in college, because I always have so much fun with you guys, and I really had a blast. And Luminaire was there; he was having a good time, and I also enjoyed. We also did the VR thing.
Yep.
Which was good. Unfortunately, when Pyro got to play, it wasn't very calibrated very well.
It was still pretty fun. Like it was. I was really testing it out because I went to a convention recently for work, and they had VR stuff there, and I'm like, you know what, I want to buy one. So I wanted to like try out yours before I decide if I want to yet. And it was really cool.
Yeah, and we played Job Simulator, which is probably the best thing to show anybody what VR can do, because it's one of the funniest games I've ever played, and it's definitely
isn't it almost like proper 3D like Surgeon Simulator?
Yes, and
where it's just like stupid stuff with your hands.
Yeah, and that's what's so good about it. It's a game that doesn't take itself seriously. Like a lot of it is just playing in a sandbox, and they give you goofy things to do. They give you enough creative and fun things to do.
Well, the idea behind the game is it's the year 2025, and robots have taken over all the jobs, so there's no reason for humans to do anything. So having a job is kind of like like entertainment. So basically, the idea is you're picking a job that you want to play around as. Be like, oh, haha, I remember the day when people had to do this. So you get to fix a car, or like cook, or
I didn't even know there was a plot. I thought you just go in.
Well, there's not really a plot, but that's as much plot as there is.
The funny thing about it is that it's future robots' interpretations of how those jobs would have been, so they're slightly off. So in like if you're being the auto mechanic, you also have like the integral part of being an auto mechanic is having a sleazy boss that will tell you to break the customer's car on purpose.
That's amazing.
So one of your objectives when you're done fixing the person's car is to like shove stuff in it, so it like to shove sugar in the gas tank.
Yeah, to put sugar in the gas tank.
I love that they thought of this.
It's also like a very cynical outlook too. So like when you're playing, you have infinite amount of time, but in the background you can see the cost of labor going up exponentially.
Oh jeez.
It's just like counting up and up and up as you're doing all this stuff and screwing around with the car. There's goofy jokes like some of the fluid. They have all these different fluids you can add to the car, and one of them is sriracha. There's headlight fluid, which is a common car joke.
It's the way that you change the color of the car, of the headlight. I mean.
Yeah, it's really funny. And then there's car talk radio, and on the radio it's just two people that have no idea what cars are talking about cars.
Oh, that might actually be a take on the actual radio show.
It
Car
is.
Talk,
it is.
With like the two like supremely amazing experts that diagnose most car problems just over the radio without even looking. Those guys are freaking legends.
Yeah,
only one of them's left, but
I think Justin Roiland is one of the voices.
Nice.
From Rick and Morty and House of Cosby's, which I didn't realize he was in. But it's a lot of fun. It's just like really, really goofy inanity that they're they're talking about. So I had a really good time. I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything about the barbecue, but I went over the things that were highlights for me for sure.
Those are good burgers.
Yeah, no, I think you hit all the...
They were great. It's really different than the burgers my dad makes. So, and my dad makes good burgers too, but it's nice to have a difference in taste.
Well,
no, it's definitely refreshing. Like, I could have had these at home. Like, it's definitely great to have like a unique burger.
Well, according to Pyro, they weren't as good as last year's. So
yeah, that's pretty funny.
I mean, there was something a little bit different about them.
They didn't have that meat hands touch, I guess.
Yeah.
I will say that by the end, when other people were packing up, Perry and Mitz and I were being like delinquents, and we were just like swinging on the swing sets and throwing the volleyball at each other. So there was technically some volleyball being played in the sense that people were having it like thrown into their sternums while they were swinging on the swing sets.
Jesus.
Nice. And my roommate also brought stuff for s'mores, and he introduced the concept of peanut butter cup s'mores to me, which
Wait,
blew
what?
my mind.
Yeah, I regret missing that, but that would have
what's peanut butter cup s'mores?
Instead of using a brick of chocolate, use a peanut butter cup. It's
Oh.
That sounds crazy. Like, I gotta try that.
I brought the idea. I don't know if they used it because I mentioned it or they all sort of thought about it, but the best way to make s'mores is not to like toast the marshmallow. It's the lamer way to do it, but also the better way is you get tin foil and then create the s'mores in the tin foil and wrap it up, and then that's what you put on the grill. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The true way is to put it in a microwave.
Just have gigantic marshmallows.
Just everyone in the country just kicks me out.
But had a really good time, like I said. And I wanted to move on to our second topic if nobody wants to add anything else.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah.
So, several of us have had a relationship with the Dark Tower series. I know Lotus has read them all, and I've read them all. I don't know about you two.
Nope.
Okay. How about you, OldManStompy?
I have not read any Stephen King novels in my life.
Okay. Gotcha. Oh. Is it an aversion to them, or you just haven't gotten around to it?
It is the second one.
Okay, you just haven't gotten around to it. Gotcha. I mean, there's so many things that you need to have time for. There's too many good things.
Part of it is that knowing that he has like a metaverse that the Dark Tower is like the nexus of, and like that almost makes it too intimidating to even start. But I probably would at least like to read the core Dark Tower novels.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things is I knew going into it that not only would I want to read those, but in between each one, I picked another Stephen King novel that was related in between each one. Like, I read The Shining, I read Eye of the Dragon, I read The Stand.
That one's so good. I love Eye of the Dragon.
I read The Stand, I read Salem's Lot. I read, like, a lot of the books that have something to do with the Dark Tower.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I've watched The Stand, the television miniseries version, and if I had known that Randall Flagg was such like an important character to the metaverse, I probably really would have wanted to read the novel after that, but I just haven't.
Yeah, he's actually in some stuff outside of the Dark Tower. Like, he's the main. He's a huge character in obviously The Stand, but also Eyes of the Dragon,
Storm of the Century. He's in that.
Yeah, I don't even know if I knew there was a book. Like, I saw it on TV when it first came on, and that was interesting as well.
Well, the book is based off the script, so it was a TV movie first. And then...
Oh, that okay. Well, okay, then I guess I got the true experience. That was actually that was a kind of a creepy Stephen King movie. Like, they did a lot with a little. Like it wasn't like where they're like, we have to do all these crazy scares where a guy can manipulate matter and do anything. Like, it was more like subtle things, which is exactly why they were scary. Like, just the concept of somebody doing like an old school like Windows like 95 or 98 or whatever like crossword puzzle program, and all the boxes on the crossword start filling up with like, give me what I want and I'll go away. Like, it's an easy effect to do, but it's creepy. It's little things like that make it work.
So, having said this, I'm a huge fan of the series, and reading that series only enriches your love for other Stephen King novels. Like, it's one of those things where it's very self-indulgent, but somehow it's still good. It's not self-indulgent in an annoying way, which is very difficult to do.
Yeah, like there are some parts where you might feel that way, and some people say like books 6 and 7 aren't as good as the previous ones, but they're still good.
Yeah, and I actually like the 8th book a lot, but the
8th is effectively like an additional like, you know, addendum book, but it's really damn good.
It's very, very good.
You don't need to read the 8th book at all, but I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I mean it's like a guide-in kind of deal, but it's a very good one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the Cowboy Bebop movie. You watch it because it's like an additional episode during the series.
Like like you could have never watched it and the series would lose nothing at all. But it's so good.
So having said that, I this is one of the best things I've ever read. It's one of my favorite things just because of how it plays with literature and your expectations and turns something that brings something together that probably wouldn't have been together, and also kind of mirrors real life as well. The books mirror what had been happening in the real world while it was written, and it was written over the course of 20 years, essentially.
Yeah.
So
speaking of which, I mean, it was technically written over the course of 20 years, but I was actually going to mention, like, book 3 culminates and like finally reaches this amazing ending where it's like, just you wait until the next book. Like, book 3 ends on a crazy cliffhanger, and then he didn't write book 4 for like 7 to 10 years, and it's like, oh god, like, you thought waiting for Berserk was bad? Like, that was straight up awful.
Waiting for Berserk is pretty bad.
It is. But I mean, it's to a point where my dad, like, last week or 2 weeks ago or something, didn't realize that there was like more than, I forgot, 3 or 4 books. He was like,
oh wow.
More. It's like,
does your dad read Stephen King?
He's read some, but I remember he was reading, because I didn't even know what the Dark Tower was when I was a really little kid. Some of the Dark Tower books had like pictures in them, and some of them were actually pretty creepy, and I was just like, oh, what is this? And it was only when I read them like in college I was like, that's what it was. But I remember my dad was reading those when I was a kid, so like, and then all of a sudden they stopped. So it's like, oh well.
Yeah, the gulf between 4 and 5 was gigantic, and the gulf between 3 and 4 was gigantic.
3 and 4 was crazy, but yeah, even after 4.
Just out of curiosity, I don't know if like Google like recognizes the speech that I'm speaking into my computer, but I opened up my Kindle app, and this is the first thing that it shows me. Is it recommends me the Dark Tower book 1.
Yes.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm. The man in black ran through the desert, and the gunslinger followed.
Yeah, it has one of the best first lines in fantasy fiction. It's just a fantastic.
Also,
way to
the Dark
off
Tower.
The series.
Also, the Dark Tower, I want to say 2 has, because the Dark, like, this is one of those series where the books have chapters but sub-chapters. So it's like chapter 3-1, chapter 3-2. It has one of the greatest. It kind of is, but Stephen King plays with it.
Okay.
There's a sub-chapter. The fact that it is a sub-chapter really makes it hit, but there's a sub-chapter in book 2 that's only 4 words long, and you're like, why would you waste your time making it a sub-chapter? But like, the previous chapter ends on like, oh man, I wonder what this thing is going to be when it happens, and the next sub-chapter, here's what happens. Next sub-chapter, and you're like, oh, like it's the equivalent of like a double splash
Sucker
page
punch.
in a comic book with no dialogue. Yeah, it's just like, boom, here it is. Like, it really works.
So I love this series, and I love talking about it, and Perry's really into it as well, and
yeah, he got me into it.
The 3 of us even used like the language in it. We even say thank you, Sai, and all that stuff. And
actually on Perry's Facebook, I don't know if he still does it, but you know how you could like arrange your friends in specific groups? Like, these are my work friends, these are my college friends, or whatever. Yeah, he had his quartet. So
there's just like in Clockwork Orange, there's a made up language that the main character in his universe uses. So, but you get used to it. It's just like anything else.
And they don't make it as intentionally vague as Clockwork Orange, because Clockwork Orange, you really have to figure it out. But they ease you into it more in the Dark Tower.
For sure. But it gets addictive because it's a good way of saying things. But anyway. So having said this, I watched the movie yesterday, and mostly everybody probably has heard that it hasn't gotten favorable reviews. It got an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is god-awful.
I did not know that.
That's one of the worst ratings for a movie that I've actually wanted to see. So,
yeah, go ahead.
I having seen it, I can say that I'm disappointed, but it's not a bad movie.
Well, that's what I've heard. Like, I've heard it was, I mean, The Last Airbender was a bad movie because everything was exposition, but I mean, outside of that context, I hear it was kind of like the Last Airbender in that if you don't know the books at all, you'll be like, oh, it was a pretty cool popcorn movie, but if you do know the books, you're gonna get like angry.
Well, part of the problem is that the movie only goes into the story on surface level, and what makes the book so good is how meta they are. And it's an experience reading it, and also kind of it was an experience living through it, coming out when it did, and the series it very much has a lot to do with the other books that are around it, and there are references to other Stephen King things in it. Like there's a I'm not ruining anything by this because it's in the trailer. There's part of the Pennywise theme park is in Midworld, so it makes a reference to it. In fact, the Rita Hayworth poster that I own as a reference to Shawshank Redemption is in the movie in the background.
Oh, wow.
They even go into Jake Chambers, who his last name is kind of a reference anyway in the books to Chambers from Stand By Me, as it is too. So
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, he's semi-related, that kind of thing.
Well, so, now here's the thing with all this though. I can't fully blame the movie because these are 7 long-ass books. Yes. you are not, like, I don't care what you do, you are not getting all that into a movie in a way that explains it to newcomers. Like, you can't. Like, what they really should have done, I'd heard what they were going to do was make the movie like a really long episode 1, like almost a setup for like a TV series.
Yeah. That
would have been nice. Or, admittedly, I don't think this would work, but do almost a Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, remember how the MCU started, where like Iron Man, that's a cool movie. Yeah. Oh, now they're doing Hulk. Oh, that's a cool movie. Oh, they're doing Captain America, and then the post-credits thing in Captain America was like, hey, we're putting all this shit into Avengers. It's all combined. Like, what? Like, if they had done that with the Stephen King movies, like, by the way, did you even know that there was a universe to these things? Dark Tower. Like, that would have blown people's freaking minds.
Well, it's kind of cool because, it is coming out pretty soon. So, yeah. like the movie version of it. So, like, there is some buzz around Stephen King properties right now. The classic ones.
And Stranger Things probably helped too.
And The Shining is always is a classic. It's a classic in cinematic history. So whether you want to call that a Stephen King adaptation or not, because of it's not exactly an accurate one, but it's
it was a terrible adaptation, but a great movie.
You can't ignore it. It's probably the best horror film ever made, or close to it.
It's up there.
Yeah. So it's also one of the most meticulously made movies ever.
Like the funny thing is, there was the TV series of The Shining, which was a much better adaptation.
But there's
just nobody
the TV
cared
series,
for it. What?
Nothing.
No, but people just didn't care for it because it was very, very dialogue heavy and very slow and deliberate, and like that's how it the book was, but like it doesn't translate well into a movie or even TV.
Well, I think they're still making a TV series for Dark Tower.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
It's going to be based on book 4. So it's going to be the prequel. Book 4 is the prequel book, and also probably the best book in the series.
Book 4 was damn good.
So the reason to be disappointed about the movie is that the movie is based on book 2, basically, and also based on the second Jake, not the first Jake. So it's just Jake and Roland.
No Eddie or anything.
There's no Eddie. There's no Susanna.
Because Eddie's intro, like the way they brought Eddie into
awesome.
the series, was fantastic.
Yeah, and that happens at the end of book 2, right?
Fighting Balthazar, like that was friggin' sweet.
That happens at the end of book 2, I believe. Without getting into it, there are 2 Jakes, and the first book is totally ignored in the movie. So, and they don't even make reference to the fact that it may have happened, which is even worse. And anybody getting into the series, I also recommend that you read books 1 and 2 before you make a judgment on the series, because 2 really brings in the second book really brings what makes the Dark Tower special introduced to you.
Book 1 is ironically kind of the oddball of the series. In fact, there were 2 versions of Book 1. Like, Book 1 was heavily rewritten.
Yeah.
Like, the original... I don't even know if you could find easily the original version of
There's
Book 1
something
anymore,
only like 1,000 copies out there. He only kind of released it for fans.
Yeah, but like even the version that everybody got, the revised version, is still... It feels more like a traditional, like, Western. It feels a little... like different from the rest of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So like Vyse said, do give book 2 a chance, because book 2 is fantastic with the lobstrosities.
There are all these references, all these different things happen, and they don't explain them at all in the movies. So you get this sense that the people who knew the books are watching it and wishing there was more.
And they don't know that you don't know the books.
And then the people that didn't read the books are watching it not knowing what the hell is going on.
And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I heard that the movie actually got Roland's motivation wrong, which makes 0 sense.
Yes, that is correct.
Like, that's outrageous, because Roland has a one-track mind for 100% of the series.
And his payoff is unjustly given to him. So I can't, without spoiling a lot. It's
well,
just
don't even go into the payoff. What's his motivation? Because I don't even know what it is in the movie.
Well, he wants to get to the Dark Tower. He wants to save.
Fair enough.
He wants to save the Dark Tower from being destroyed by Flag. The Crimson King is only barely mentioned and with graffiti on the wall. And he's the big bad of the series. Randall Flagg is the arch
Crimson
nemesis.
King is arguably the big bad of every Stephen King thing ever written, whether it's in the books or not.
Correct. He's like Satan, and Randall Flagg is his lackey, right? He's like Ridley in Metroid. You know, Mother Brain is the big boss, but you really fear Ridley because he's your arch nemesis.
Flagg's the guy who's actually around and doing stuff.
So Randall Flagg just is going to ruin your day. So there's barely any allusion to the Crimson King, and he's a central figure in the series.
You know what I do find kind of amusing, though, is it's been a very long time, but if memory serves, even though Flag is one of the more prominent bad guys, and he's terrifying. If you see him, you're probably dead. I just like that Randall Flagg, even though he's a main lackey of the Crimson King, he's not one of the really big bad guys. Like, I think it is like on a higher level than Flag, but just it only has his book, and Flag's around more often.
You're talking about the difference between like a serial killer in an H.P. Lovecraft story versus
I was literally gonna give that example. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
It's like you're always chased by the serial killer, but wait, there's an eldritch horror. But wait, it is under Cthulhu. That kind of thing. Like, you never really meet the low-level eldritch horror, which is still scarier than the serial killer, but you always meet the serial killer and are really gunning for Cthulhu himself. Like, it's kind of like that.
Well, the reason why it is so scary is because it is a concept and takes many forms, and that's why it's called it.
And the clown is just what it chooses to appear as all the time.
If we cut this part out and people didn't know what it was, They would be so confused. What is it?
What is it? It's a segue to another conversation. Anyway, but
it's fantastic though.
It's the punchline to a Monty Python sketch.
yeah. And also a South Park episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, they were making fun of that Segway campaign as well.
I don't know if I saw that one.
So, Mr. Garrison invented this really stupid version of a Segway, like even dumber than a Segway actually is.
Oh, is that orb thing?
It's like a mono wheel that you're in.
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
You have to do fellatio on it to give it gas.
No, I have seen that. Yeah.
Yes, and then they redesign it because they're like, why does this need to happen at all?
It's like, shut up. That's why.
But anyway, I just wanted to say that I don't think it was bad, and I'm glad I watched it. I think the casting is really good. I think Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey were really good choices.
That's what I heard. Is like, even if you don't like the movie, you'll enjoy Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey is basically born to play Randall Flagg. He's like the perfect person to play him.
Oh, sweet.
I kind of, as much as I like Idris Elba as the main character, I think they really missed an opportunity to get Clint Eastwood's son, Scott Eastwood, to play Roland.
As Roland.
Because why wouldn't you go after him? Because like he's an actor.
Roland
he's a
basically
working
is
actor.
Clint Eastwood.
Well, that's the point. He's supposed to look a lot like Clint Eastwood. He's based off of the Man with No Name's character. If you mixed him with like King Arthur, right?
Yeah, and you do get some illustrations of him in the book, and I think even on one of the covers as well.
Yeah, so like, why not try to get Scott Eastwood? Scott Eastwood looks just like his dad did when he was young.
Credit where credit's due, though. Idris Elba is seriously badass.
Oh, no.
All the time.
I'm just saying, how awesome would that have been, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of like when we were watching Skyfall, and I kind of wished that Silva was
played by Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan. Like, what would that have done to people's minds? Like, what
That'd
the
have been
fuck?
fantastic. And by the way, regarding what could have been, there's one thing I've seen mentioned. This is getting a little bit off the Dark Tower, but onto the trailers for it. Credit where credit's due. Those trailers look freaking gorgeous. Like the aesthetic looks great. The only thing that concerns me a little bit is it's clown makeup. It's like scary clown makeup. And the thing that kind of bugs me a little bit about that is that it is not supposed to look scary. That's why he's scary. Like when you see like a regular clown doing these terrifying things. Like, now I can buy him getting the scary face later. Like, now you know, but like, even when Georgie first meets him at the storm drain, and it's just inside the storm drain, he's like, I've got your little paper boat, I can give it back to you, and Georgie's like, oh, okay, and he reaches for it. You couldn't pay me enough to reach toward that. But like, in the Tim Curry version, the scary thing is that he's in a storm drain. Why is he here?
Why is there a clown in the fucking storm drain?
He looks like a happy circus clown, but like Georgie is literally 5 years old in the books, or maybe 6, so like he's not really putting that together. But like we wouldn't have reached toward that. Like, why are you in a storm drain? But like in the new It trailer, it's scary clown makeup. Like he looks like a killer clown, and that kind of, ironically, by being scarier, it takes away how scary he should be. It takes away a little, because like what It is all about is dread. He's not the kind of like, I'm gonna get you. Like, It kind of like makes your worst fears sort of come true and builds up the terror. And with this, it's just like, there's a guy who looks like he would stab you in the street, like from the opening of the movie, and it's like, well, I'm already suspicious, you know.
Well, this has renewed my interest in Stephen King books, and It is actually one of his iconic ones that I still haven't read. So
that book is ridiculous. It's like 1,000 pages.
I have it, and I'm going to dive into it.
There is a lot of stuff in that book that could be cut, but it's a great book.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and I did want to also say another disappointing thing about the Dark Tower movie is this is a movie. I've seen a lot of movies that I were like, hey, this was too long. This, like, what the hell? Like, why did this need to be 3 hours long? Why did this need to be like 2.5 hours long? But a book, like a movie about the Dark Tower, needs to be a 3 hour long movie, and it was an hour and a half. It was an
that's
hour
ridiculous.
and a fucking half.
That is short even
which is
by
a Disney
regular
movie.
movie standards.
It's
yeah.
That's a Disney movie. So like, what am I watching? Like,
You're watching a clip show of the Dark Tower.
So you know, the series was in development hell for so long. It was, they were trying to make it into some sort of series or movie series for about 10 years.
Yeah, I heard about like HBO for forever ago.
It should have been a TV show. Because that's
like a high budget TV show.
That's the only way it would have worked. Like a Game of Thrones
and even then it would be
TV
missing.
Show.
And even then it would be missing a lot due to the nature of the medium. But it would be it would still be way more fleshed out than any movie could hope to be.
Yeah, so I'm a little disappointed, and also since the reception's bad, I'm sure that it's not doing well at the box office. So I hope it doesn't kill future projects. Maybe they can redeem it with future installments. Like maybe they had planned all along for it to be like evasive in terms of its story. I'm not sure, but as of right now, I'm disappointed. I'm glad I saw it, but it doesn't tell people what's so good about something I love. So
yeah, at this point, I'm mildly curious, but like, if someone invites me to the movie, I'll go see it. But I'm not gonna go myself to the theater. Like, oh, I gotta see the Dark Tower. Like, if I end up waiting for it to come on TV, then I'll wait. You know?
Yeah. So, having said that, I think we've talked enough about Stephen King stuff. So, and OldManStompy and Pyro are trying to go to bed. So, we will catch everybody else on Corrective Consciousness on Tuesday. That's the show for this week. And please remember to subscribe to Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us a thumbs up, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesday on our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, our podcast about our lives and pop culture. Finally, you can friend me as VyseTheBold, VyseTheBold, on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, and Twitter.
And you can find me at my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can contact me on Twitter at Lotus Prince, all one word. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive streams, or even selecting future games for me to Let's Play, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And you can find me as PyroJackFrost and Cloudoid540 on PSN, Steam, and the such.
And you can find me as OldManStompy on basically every major gaming network or social media that I happen to be active on, except on Steam, where I'm Ham Tomato Egg.
Bringing it back.
Nice.
One more time. I'm gonna kill this joke. I swear to God.
I don't think so. It's just one of those shows that jokes that gets funnier the more you talk about it.
About how the
challenge.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say about how the person out this week got fired. That never got old.
Nobody got fired this week.
Yeah, not this week. So I can't make the joke. Good thing I didn't.
All right, we'll catch you on Tuesday, everyone.
Until next time, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Cheers.